in some of his writings somewhere, Samuel Beckett, who's one of my favourite authors, says something to the effect that the only way we can write about nothing is by pretending it's something. Which I just think is a fantastic observation, that we can't conceive of nothing, it's an abstract concept, so we turn it into a thing, a something, and talk about nothing as if it was something. I don't really want to go into that right now, but what Beckett continues in that quotation is he says, the only way we talk about nothing as if it was something in the same way that we talk about God as if he was a man, he says. Which again is a typical piece of Beckett wisdom, really. It's very smart, I think. And I think one of the things he's pointing up there is that, just our tendency to when we come across a term like God, and it's a term I have a lot of problems with because I'm an atheist, it's the temptation to turn it into a discussion about a person and to attribute that concept with human attributes, or just to see it as a kind of as a term which takes its meaning from a relationship to a human sensor, a human conceptualization process, is almost irresistible. In fact, if the term God exists at all as a meaningful concept, for me, it's almost in order to serve the purpose of reminding me, at least, that conceptualization and interpretive and perceptual processes are at work in every observation that we as humans might make. We are kind of naturally limited and constrained and organized and structured around those processes, and they might not be, well, they're not total. And so the idea of a God perhaps just suggests the possibility of there being processes which are beyond that reach, or just which use different kinds of organizational strategies, I suppose. And I know there are some conceptions of God in various theological traditions which try to hark to that. And here I'm thinking of the via negativa that you find in Christian mysticism, which I think I've mentioned before, which is this approach to theological education, which stresses the kind of journey. Hello there. Which stresses the journey that a Christian in that particular case, but any kind of a person trying to gain some kind of spiritual knowledge, the kind of journey that they must take is a journey which terminates in nothingness, or which there is no destination. You kind of have to travel hopefully, but there is no guarantee of arriving anywhere. So it has that kind of idea. I think you also find it in Baha'i. Someone told me that Baha'i has a kind of inconceivable and nameable God at the heart of it. And I think you also find it within some Islamic traditions. I'm sure you find it elsewhere as well, but the idea that there is an unnameable, which is the name of another Beckett piece of writing, actually. Hello. It's quite strong, I think. There's a temptation, I can feel it rising in myself. There's a temptation in this case to think, well, obviously God is just a meaningless concept. By definition it's meaningless. And I think I've just said so. So all the criticisms that might be made of theological thinking and the idea of theology at all, a logos based on a thea, is fallacious from the start, because you're talking about ultimately nothing that by definition cannot be named. Well, and that may well be true, and that's certainly something that occurs to me quite a lot. That it might be, just another example of the kind of physics that talks about things that just aren't there. But nevertheless, as a concept, I'm still hanging on to the idea that it might be useful. And it's a concept which, as I think I said before, is kind of synonymous with everything. but not the everything that's summed up in theories of everything. Theories of everything in physics, for example, grand unification theories, don't include theories of how dreams emerge, or how human values work, or how human relationships form. They don't. They might talk about the conditions in which those things arise, but the kind of theory of everything I would want, synonymous with the God that I would like to have, would have those kind of things built in. And not just those kind of human dreams, human values, human relationships, but it would also need to explain the life of a dog, and the life of a piece of grass, and the life of an extraterrestrial. It would need to explain everything, you know, the feeling of the wind under a bird's wings. It would need to explain absolutely everything. Which I'm just kind of holding on to as an idea, really, even though being everything, it's not something I could ever use in a sentence. It's a kind of aspirational concept. And maybe an aspirational concept is all that's needed. You know, an idea of everything that transcends, literally transcends, i.e. steps out of and crosses over the abilities of human beings to comprehend. I'm starting to sound like a really woolly theologian now. That's something I'm going to have to really watch out for.